Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Wrestling Territories podcast. I am Troy, your host. And you know what? I tell you, it's going to be an interesting little video. We're going to go back in time to when I was with my brother going to wrestling events in the 90s. But before I do that, I want to thank everybody who has helped here in our area in Western North Carolina when it was hit so hard with the hurricane. I did a live video, talked a little bit about what we saw. I do have some video I will put up soon of some things that me and Marnie captured not too long ago. She was filming as we were driving, but anyway, just thank you for overwhelmingly helping out. For those who have helped out, everybody here in Western North Carolina appreciates it. I can tell you right now, there's a lot of people who are in just horrible shape right now because they've lost their home, they lost their car, they lost everything. And so please keep those people in your thoughts and prayers. And, any help, if you want to donate to organizations, look up good ones like Man of Food Bank here in Asheville is really good. There's a lot of them. But anything, if you like to help, anything you can do to help is great. Um, but please continue to keep those people in your prayers. We were blessed not to have had any major damage or anything. We were just recently got our water back in our home. So that's a blessing to have that. And there's still a long road ahead to get all that fixed. To get we're just on a emergency line right now that we're running water back to everybody with. So all since the 27th of September and today is the 17th of October. So we got it last night. So from the 27th to the 16th, and there's still people still without water, still people without power to this at this time, and there for a while we lost cell phone signal, but thank God we got those back so we can get in touch with loved ones. And anyway, it's a very tough road, and trying to get back to some sense of normalcy the best we can. And it's just very great grateful to everybody who has helped out, and we do appreciate it a lot. I'm trying to speak on behalf of some of the people. But we've had to go out and get water ourselves, drinking water, flushable water, food, things like this. When we were out power, didn't have power, we didn't have internet, we didn't have cell phones. When we didn't have cell phones, that was really tough because we didn't know how loved ones were. And thank God they got those back pretty quickly so people could understand how people are doing on the other line, I guess you could say. But anyway, again, thank you. And okay, so we're going to start the podcast out. And tonight, what I want to talk about is 90s wrestling. Back in the day, me and my brother would go with some friends and we'd go to a local wrestling organization. We had a blast. It was a good time. I mean, we were young and having a good time, and no drinking or anything like that, just having a good time. And so the first time we ever went to this local organization, excuse me, we went in not really knowing what to expect. The ones we've been to recently have been like the WCW stuff. So we go in and, very low atmosphere compared to WCW because we're in a high school gymnasium and probably, I want to say 50 people in attendance, I'd say. And so the one thing we started observing, so they would have matches like every other weekend, every other Saturday or so, once a month or twice a month, depending on their schedule. And we would go and we started noticing there was a group of people on our first time there that were cheering on the heels. And it's probably about three or four guys that were cheering on the bad guys, right? And we went back the next week and they wasn't there. And so everybody was cheering the good guys and stuff. So myself, my brother, and about three or four of the people decided, hey, we're going to be here every weekend that they're here. Let's be heels. Let's chant the heels on us. And we didn't know what we could expect out of that because we didn't know if it was going to upset people in the crowd or not. But we decided to go with that. And so that's where it became a fun experience. We sit on an opposite side of the ring where the heels would be, if they were tagging up or whatever. And we just did things that we kind of pushed the envelope a little bit, not in a bad way, but just see how far we could go. And because think about it this way: if a heel pulls the hair of a good guy, right? The fans out there will get mad and say, "Yeah, he pulled the hair." Well, we wouldn't do that. We'd like, "No, he didn't. No, he didn't." And it would be fun, and they would kind of look at us like, "You're not helping," and we're like, "Yeah, we're not helping. We're going to be helping the heels." And so we kind of got to know them a little bit. There was one guy named Chris King, and he was the Iceman, but all of them were cool. All of them were cool. The heels enjoyed it. We had a great time being on the far side of the ring, away from everybody. I remember one time, one of our friends, you had a tag match going on, and one of the faces got knocked out of the ring. The heel tagged him, on the outside of the ring, and one of my friends picked up a chair and handed it to, I think it was Chris King or some one of the or Chris or Iceman or one of those guys. I can't remember who it was exactly. Anyway, hands it to him and he uses it. So we started doing this more and more. We'd hand them chairs or we'd hand them whatever we had, a drink. They'd throw it in the good guy's face. I mean, it was just we didn't know how far we could push it, but we didn't go too crazy. But our concern was the fans that were cheering the good guys, which was a majority. So if there's about 50 of them there, how are they going to take us, you know, five people over here cheering the heels on? So we didn't know how that was going to go, but nobody bothered anybody. Everybody had a great time, which is very thankful. They didn't serve alcohol, so that was always good. But we had a great time. We had a blast. It was always eventful every single time we went. They would have title matches and this and that, all kind, grudge matches. They never had a cage match, but they have street fights and Falls County Anywhere type matches and stuff. And again, that's where we would help out. We'd hand a chair, or we'd hand a drink, or I don't know whatever else was around ringside. And we'd always tell the referee that the heels were doing nothing wrong at all. And it became a situation where I think we became just as much of the entertainment as the wrestlers did, which unknowingly at the time. But you go back and look at it like, yeah, we were entertaining as well because nobody else in the audience would get involved other than to tell the referee that somebody pulled a hair or was holding the ropes or something like that. But we would stay involved with it, and it was so fun. And I'm hoping that the people that were there when we were there, uh, that were cheering the good guys, were having just as much fun seeing us do our part. And we wasn't a part of the act at all. It was nothing that we didn't get paid. We didn't. It was nothing like that. It wasn't like, hey, can you guys do that? No, it was something we took upon ourselves and had a blast doing. And it was good. It was kind of out of the norm because you're still in the 90s. And the heels were in these local organizations were not cheered. It was just you've seen it some in WCW, you've seen it in WWF, but in ECW, but you didn't see it in your local organizations too much, at least in the area we were in. And we would witness that every single week. You would just have us group of five or six or whatever it was that time, and we were cheering the heels on. We're having a blast, having a good time, and that's what it should be about. So if you go to our local wrestling organization, no matter where it's at, have a good time with it, where you want to cheer the faces or the heels, and do it in a good, clean way. And make sure that there's an understanding if you kind of do what we did, like handing chairs and stuff. It we didn't do that like the first couple of times we started. It was like over months of time of us going and the wrestlers getting used to us and us getting used to them and the referees and the owner was the ring announcer and everybody had a great time with it. Nobody tried to hurt anyone. It was just fun. And so therefore nobody ever came to us and said you got to calm it down. It never happened. As a matter of fact, it was quite on the contrary because the heels would like encourage us, like, yeah, tell them we didn't pull the hair. Yeah, tell them we didn't yank the rope or whatever. And so it was really encouraged. We had a great time. So I would encourage you if you do it and you want to cheer the heels, do it that way. If it's something you see every weekend or every other weekend you go to, get a what is it called, a report or whatever, with the wrestlers and do it like I just said we did. And, you're talking about 90, I guess I was not 96, 97 is right, is the right in the heat of the moment of WCW versus WWF. And, at that point, local wrestling organizations, things like that they were doing pretty good. I have to admit, they were doing pretty good back then. And, it's real good to see the NWA doing the territory things again. It's really neat. Hopefully it keeps working for them. I think they lost their CW app. I don't think they're on there anymore, but they're still doing territory stuff on YouTube. So check it out and support them. Um, One guy that I really support on X is Jared, the referee from the NWA. Always give him a shout out. Um, he's very inspirational, talks well, and wants to inspire people on his X page. And so, yeah, check them all out. And like I say, if you go to local wrestling organizations and you want to have fun, do it that way. I'm trying to think of more incidents that we had that was pretty cool. Again, it was just basically giving the heels an edge on things, and something that wasn't really sought out or thought of. But it all became a part of the situation because we've seen a group of people on our first night there cheering the heels, and they never came back. So when they never came back, we were like, okay, well, we'll step in that role. We'll keep cheering the heels. And I can't remember who it was, but there was one wrestler says, "Why do you cheer the heels and not the good guys?" Because we don't like you. That's what we said to him. And it was funny. It was fun. They all had a good. The wrestlers were having a blast. We were having a blast. You're talking about, here I am in my early 20s, just getting into my 20s, and it was fun. It was great. Another incident I'll talk about a little bit. I've never mentioned on here before, but uh, I don't think. But in I want to say it was around 2010, maybe 2011. I guess somewhere in that neighborhood. I forget exactly. I would go to. I had a good friend of mine whose brother was a professional wrestler and doing some local stuff, and not quite to the magnitude that was in the 90s. But I had the opportunity through that to meet beautiful Bob Eaton and the Barbarian. Just a casual, hey, how you doing? That was pretty much it. I didn't have the time to really sit down and talk to him or anything. They were busy and stuff, but it was fun to get a chance to see them there up close and get to meet them. And that'll always be something. I wish I had pictures. That'd be great, but I didn't have anything. I guess I just didn't think of it at the time. Maybe just thought I'd see him again or whatever. But Bobby came in once, Barbarian came in once, and that was it. I'm trying to think. I don't remember anybody else coming in. Those were the two from the 80s that I grew up watching that I got a chance to meet. So that was a blast. It was a great time. But comment below if you've had those experiences with going to wrestling events and you had a great time, and kind of share your experiences and in the comments. And again, I do appreciate y'all tuning in. This is a quick little podcast, but I might get into this a little bit more over time when I start having guests on. Maybe we can get a little more in depth about things. But yeah, go support your local wrestling organizations and have a blast doing it. And until next time, God bless. See you soon.